Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network and producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and Phil Svitek, this is iTalk Movie.
Nifty, that's a new one. It's been a while since I've done one of these, apparently.
Very nice.
Hey, movie fans. Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. Today, we on iTalk Movies, we are talking to the director and stars of Prevertere, A Pervert's Quest for Love. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, you make it sound so romantic and sweet. Thanks.
It's a love story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhat of an unromantic comedy, if you will, maybe, potentially.
Let me go ahead and introduce you guys. To my left, Jimmy Duvall.
Yes. Hello.
Pollyanna McIntosh.
Hello.
And writer-director Brian Maguire.
Hi.
I totally mispronounced that. It's Maguire, correct?
Maguire, yes.
I was like, Maguire. No. Anyway, I'm your guys' host, Megan Salinas. If you guys have any questions for our fabulous guests, you guys can tweet at me directly at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Popcorn Talk on iTunes. Subscribe to us on Twitter, YouTube, all that fun stuff. We want to hear from you guys. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Guys, I want to know, what is it about this particular, from a story perspective, why was this a story you wanted to talk about? And what was it about this story that drew you guys to it as performers?
Oh, wow. What a question. The story, why did I want to tell this story? I think I wanted to tell this story because, you know, I was part of this one film that came out in 2007 called In Search of a Midnight Kiss, and the guy that wrote and directed that, his name is Alex Holdridge, and that story very much like stole pages from his life and my life. Like the character that I was playing in that film was very much sort of verbatim based off myself, you know. So I was actually like saying, yes, you know. Okay. So from that experience, though, like, you know, it was we made the movie for very little money, and you know, the movie had a lot of success and it kind of got out there. So that was sort of like the basis for me in making movies, was like, all right, I'm going to tell my own embarrassing stories and like get, you know, just let them fly and like hopefully they're relatable. So that's essentially, I think, the essence of the background for Prevertere, where it comes from.
How about you guys? What about this story made you go, that's a project I want to be involved in?
For me, it was a really fun character, and I related to her, but it was far enough from me that it was, you know, good place, good fun, new place to go. And I just worked with Brian before and really like him and the brightness and the absurdity of how he works. I like. So yeah, it was just jumping in really and having fun.
Yeah. Jimmy?
Jimmy,
yes.
How do you feel, Jimmy?
Present.
Well, you know, Brian and I actually go back quite a bit, and we've worked on quite a few movies together as well. So one was sort of like a natural progression, you know, that anything Brian does, if he has me on, you know, I'll jump on board. But the other thing is, all of Brian's scripts, all his stories, I think, you know, they actually tap into, like, I want to say, I don't want to say everybody. I'd like to believe everybody. It definitely taps into a certain part of, you know, my experiences and things that I've been through, and, you know, the pervert inside of me. And I'd like to think that everyone has a pervert inside of them, and if you don't, you're lying.
Megan does. Look at that. Look at that giggle over there.
Like some of us are a little bit more honest about it than others. So I just, you know, and I love the idea that the film kind of really does explore that, the different sort of dimensions of a pervert, you know, in the quest for like who you are and what it is really about that you're looking for.
Well, and as a person too, like this is a very flawed person, but at the end of the day, he's still well-rounded. He has flaws, but that doesn't mean he's not looking for love, at least in some way, shape, or form.
Right, he's trying to figure it out. He's trying to.
You got there eventually. This little pervert's getting married.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
Yeah, to a fine pervert. She's great. You know.
Yeah, we're going to have an S&M wedding, and you're all invited.
And you're all invited. Yes.
Party for everybody.
But to go a little further with the backstory to me and Jimmy, I've made 7 features in the last 5 years, and Jimmy's been in 5 of them. And
Fantastic.
we did a couple years together as roommates and played music.
Like you did
Like,
time.
it was time. It was like, we were bunk
time
mates
I
in the
remember
pen.
that house.
Yeah.
In the
But,
brick kitchen.
We played music together as well, and in a band called Gene Wilder, and we still hang out and go skateboarding sometimes, and this
Can I ask what kind of music you guys do?
Well,
You may.
Yes, please.
What kind of
Ask
music do
away.
you guys do?
Well, Gene Wilder was, that band's not really, we haven't played a show in a while, but that was kind of like, I don't know, how do you describe that? I mean, I'm a huge fan of like the Smiths and Morrissey.
Funky, unexpected, kind of honest misery.
Yeah, there's comedy and pain in the same sentence.
And very good suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wore
Like
suits, a lot of good
suits.
suits, yeah.
That's the most important thing about music is what you're
What
wearing,
you're wearing
correct?
on stage.
Pretty
yes.
much.
Now, I've heard that a lot of this movie stems and was inspired by independent films of the 90s, and I was wondering what specifically you drew from in terms of inspiration.
Well, the whole sort of period for me, the 90s is like just a very, very creative time in filmmaking. It seemed like there was like a lot of money in independent films, so you would get like these really obscure stories with bigger budgets and stuff like that, and it was just like I felt like there was a rawness to it too. I mean, it wasn't the digital age yet, so it was still film and stuff. So in the way that it's felt more of like a gung-ho approach to like making things, and like the difference in story, like being able to tell a different kind of story than like trying to write a story that fits like a Sundance mold or a this mold or whatever it is, like. And so in the film, like I like the idea of like, I mean, when I got to editing, it was like, oh, if that C-stand, part of the lighting stand falls into frame, like I kind of like it, because it sort of it happened in those old movies, it's like rough around the edges, but it's about the spirit of the characters and that's usually what those movies were for me. It was all about character and, like exploring and people and the honesty of people like showed up in a lot of those films. And so I always kind of like go back to Jim Jarmusch and Todd Solondz and Richard Linklater, and for different reasons, but Linklater did such a great job of like putting relationship on screen and making people have to hash it out, and it's so fun to watch. I enjoy those kinds of films. And Jarmusch for his more stylistic sort of ways that he would put the camera and sort of some of his like off humor, and how he could just be the master of like not cutting for a long time, leaving on a shot for a long minute, and like nothing's really happening but everything is happening, and then Todd Solondz for his sort of like dark humor. I feel like every movie that he's made, every line of dialogue is something that I've heard somebody say before, and it just resonates in such a funny way to me. So I'm sort of trying to rip off all of those guys in every film I make on some
he's
level.
so into his humans too.
Yes, he is very much so.
Yeah, in
Ugly
terms
humans.
ugly humans. The with the dialogue, trying to go for like maybe a more naturalistic sound to the film, do you kind of rely on your performers to collaborate and maybe improv a little bit?
I'll let you guys answer that.
Yes.
I concur.
Well, Brian he has a script. He writes everything down, so we definitely have like the blueprint there. But he also gives us, which is also always nice, the freedom to jump off of the page and to kind of ad-lib and improv and see what we can come up with and build on that. So you have the script that is in essence finished, but to be given the freedom to continue to play with those sorts of things, to see what you can bring to the table. I mean, that's kind of like what it's about. It becomes collaborative. Sorry, collaborative at that point.
Yeah. The only thing I'd been in, where Brian had directed me before, was Carlos, which Jimmy was also in. And I'm like 3 days off a plane. I'm like, can I? And that was such a it was just like a little tiny little role, so that was improvised. But with this one, like I'm really a script person. I've done a couple of things recently. I just didn't improvise pilot, and I didn't improvise movie, and I absolutely loved it and got really into it. But I think at the point that we worked together, I hadn't really done that before, and so I'm always about getting the script to exactly where it totally makes sense for me long before I come onto set. and that was possible with this, wasn't it? I don't know if we really made any changes today.
Yeah, I
Do
think
notes
there was
and changes? There was
minor
maybe a
notes and
couple?
changes and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
'Cause I
But
normally
you
do
had a heavy influence on not just your section of the movie, but I felt like you were commenting on the other sections of the movie too.
Because I'm a complete
Which
maniac.
Yeah, but I appreciate that. You know, I like when people are coming. But you know,
It's
no
funny,
no actor really seems to kind of want to work the same either. There's other actors that come and they want to stick to exactly every word, and that there's something romantic about that for them to stick to the page. And you know, but at the level of like, you know, the time that we have on the budget constraint, you know, it's like, if it makes it easier for somebody to change it into their own way of speaking, then let's do that, and then it's going to be much more natural, and we can move on to the next scene and make our day, you know. So
Yeah, I think you're pretty open, but like, you also work with people who really love to do the job, so it's not like people don't know what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like everybody knows the script really well, so it's not.
And you know,
stress.
like I said, all of these films we've made in such a short period of time, and a lot of the same people have worked on all of them. You know, a lot of the same cast members have been there, a lot of the same crew. So, you know, the conversation has gotten to a place where, you know, it's there. I mean, we can communicate a little bit better.
So having done this a couple times before, you know, working with the same kind of cast and crew, it just becomes more comfortable then.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, trust is a really nice thing, especially when you don't have much time on a set, you know, which is never these days. You always don't have time on a set. But when you know people that you're working with, that just cuts a lot of time out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more romantic too, than unless everybody's showing up for a paycheck, you know, because it's like their next job. And
In those cases, people know their lines less.
yeah,
It's nice because it lends to a more personal performance also from the actors. Like Pollyanna gives this sexy, sultry performance of this solid
Jimmy.
woman beneath it all, who's fun and crazy. But there's dimension to it. There's dimensions to these characters. And so when you watch it, those are the things that kind of penetrate you. You know, I know, pun intended.
Please.
Wasn't it intended? Wasn't it?
Pun intended.
P.I.
Yes.
Given that the story is about one of the most human things imaginable, which is love, it sounds very much like your views on love and relationships were kind of seeped into the script in some way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love that. The interesting thing about that is for me, the idea of what the movie was is true love. And what is true love? And true love to me at the time was like, I've seen your shit, you've seen my shit, so now whatever, like let's just hold hands and move through and walk through that, right? So, and I was in a relationship for a very long time at that point, which before we started making the movie, the relationship ended. And so my conversation with my characters changed completely, where I was more concerned about the Templeton character, our main character. Then after I was like single and like, here's my past on paper, kind of in a weird, strange way. Now I'm faced to deal with this in so many different dimensions, talking to the actresses about their parts. I'm now like secretly trying to like solve my own inner personal issues,
so
like
secretly.
not so secretly, you know.
It's called Prevertere.
So I thank God in some weird ways that the relationship ended, because it did. Now I'm more concerned about like my three female characters and like and their emotions, and I'm like on a different level, like concerned with, which I don't know if the movie would have turned out as good if I didn't have that going for me at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
You
was
really
good.
felt for Irene, I know. Like, you were like...
Yeah.
How about
liked
you?
Irene.
How about you guys? Did your guys' views of love and relationships seep into your
Oh my God,
performance?
that's terrible. That's embarrassing.
Brian McGuire always getting calls.
Excuse us, we got to take this.
The Elvis call.
It's important.
Excuse me. Okay.
What was the question?
If your
Look what
guys'
I've
view
done.
on
Really
love found its
Oh,
way
yeah.
into your performances.
Yeah, it's probably good I was interrupted, because I probably would have told a much more inappropriate story than this. But,
Tell away. Those are the fun stories.
I was going out with a guy that actually weirdly we mentioned, because we all drove here together because we live in the same shoe, and I was telling him about this guy that I was seeing and how badly it ended up being going. And when I was making the movie, he and I were kind of on a break. I was about to go and do this movie which also involved sex, called Filth, which is this Scottish film with lots of fun people. And
Can't wait to see. Let Them Pray was so good.
This guy that I was dating was really frustrated because I was going to go and have a sex scene with James McAvoy, and he was really pissed off about it. And so he got in such a mood that I said, you know what, I can't talk to you right now. I'm making this movie and I'm very busy. So whilst I was shooting Prevertere, I was on a break from him of talking. And it gave me so much freedom because I didn't have to think about, relationship stuff or worry about boyfriend things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think it infused it with just a little bit more bite than maybe would have come if everything had been rosy in those few days with him.
A little bit more raw then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Actually, he needs to get over it. I remember watching film. I just remember that was you. I didn't know that was you.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Sorry about your ears, engineers. Sorry, Zach.
And it was not a big sex scene, was it? It wasn't like no boobs or anything. It's totally like it's basically it's basically comedic.
You have to see the movie, yes.
Yeah, but it's pretty dirty, but
it's worth it.
It's not.
It's filth.
A lot on show. It's filth. Yeah.
How about you, Jimmy?
Oh, he does lots of sex
Yes.
scenes. Lots of them.
Yes. No. Yeah. I mean, naturally, I think depending on the character. I know for this, actually, I was at the time happily engaged somewhat, but I was definitely pulling from older experiences because I was playing a character who's heartbroken. So I know that's where some of my improvising came off of, just kind of like riffing off of that. And then going back, and that's the reason why I like to do piles of cocaine. Numbs me up if it's good.
Now, I haven't gotten a chance to see the film yet, but I believe your character is somewhat of a romantic foil to our protagonist. Like he's kind of not necessarily an antagonist, but maybe kind of a rival. I could be completely wrong on that.
Oh, I think you mean that's Bobby Dino. Yeah, but I am friends with the romantic foil, yes.
Yeah. You're
like
kind of in cahoots with him.
I'm cahoots with him, so there's moments where the both of us make him very uncomfortable. Him purposely, me not purposely, but because I'm on the ride with Bobby Dino.
And because you're you, so you play in that way. Which is fun.
Yeah, it's very true. Jimmy's character has, been partying for a couple days.
I'm a little oblivious.
His backstory.
I'd be busy, man.
And
yes.
I don't remember where this came from, but it probably was Jimmy. But the idea that the voice is gone, like you've lost your voice because you've been partying for a couple of days, and then later in the scene, which I just love that. I love that as a character choice. But then later in Jimmy's scene, or our section of the movie, like he has these moments where he starts to like bark like a dog, but he keeps in that voice, that sort of lost voice. So it's it's a dog without a voice. It's just brilliant. I just love that. Those choices
like a
are
dog
genius.
without a voice.
Well, it's like to be honest, it's like when I remember when we were shooting it and we're like gonna bark like dogs. All I could think of in my head, I just went with the first thing that came to my head, and it was those little dogs that are really loud. So the owners have their vocal boxes removed, so they're really going for it, and nothing's really coming out. And I'm like, that's me because I lost my voice. So I'm like that little dog who's like giving it his all,
and just nothing's happening.
Hysterical stuff.
So from the sound of it, it sounds like you guys have a lot of fun together.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess we do.
Yeah.
We definitely do.
Well, it's fun, to be given the the freedom to take things out on a limb like that, to really go somewhere. I'm like this is what I was thinking.
Well, on our first film that Jimmy worked on Holiday, it was so funny because like the crew, we had changed like all of your standard little slang words that you would use on set, and we changed we were like trying to do it like as much not like a movie as possible, And there was a fellow that came to work just like because we needed some extra help, and he came sort of in his Panasonic shirt and like was like dressed up, and it was like, whoa, this does not work at all. Like in this environment, this guy going points and running around, it was just like a disaster. And like a producer had to pull him aside and be like, look, you can relax, you can just chill, like we're just friends here making a movie, kind of is the vibe. I mean, we're still trying to get on time, but. And the guy just laughed, like he secretly snuck out the back door. He couldn't deal with it,
Yeah.
It was too unprofessional in his mind, but like it was just like a new way to approach it, or trying to do it in a punk rock way or something like that.
Oh, if you can't have fun, you're in the wrong line of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's weird though when you step onto a set that isn't run as well as a normal set is run, and I don't mean this wasn't run well, but when you do, you suddenly realize, oh man, I'm totally institutionalized about sets. I'm like, why isn't that thing there? And but I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's
You
true
know?
because you do, when you
Everything
start
kind of has
work,
to run. Like
Yeah, when you work on a regular basis, you get used to certain things running a certain way. So when it doesn't run that way, it can take you by surprise. From
Oh,
time
absolutely.
To time.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I
the-
mean,
You're like,
as I have to say, as an actor though, the environment that Brian was talking about that he created, I mean, you really can't all the movies I've done. Like that's one of the funnest ways to make a movie is because you can only lend yourself to the environment that you're filming in. So if you have this environment where it's all sticks and everyone's, you can you're like until action, and you have to pretend it's not like that, and then cut and it's back to again.
Yeah.
So when you have this environment that gets rid of that pushes that aside, it allows you so much more creative freedom. It allows you to be so much more relaxed because you don't have to worry about stepping on toes. Everybody's kind of in the same world all of a sudden.
but you still have that trust, which is really like calming, because everyone is actually really focused, and if people are fucking up, it's like,
Yeah,
don't fuck up already.
Yeah, they're gonna. They'll step around and work with the way we're working in the environment, but they'll still do their job and they'll do it well.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
why we have the same people coming back over and over because they understand how to work under that dynamic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about how regimented and very much like a business most companies that make movies are these days. There's a lot of regimented to that. It's a product to them, not necessarily a story with heart. It's just another asset for sale.
Yeah, everything is now, it seems like,
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah, very much a bummer, yeah.
But going off of that, it sounds like obviously you guys had a very good environment to work with. But in that same vein, being an independent film, what was the biggest challenge you guys had to face while working on set?
Brian probably had challenges. We just got to have fun.
The location,
Yeah.
the location getting changed on us.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was
For
you
the
made
house?
it work. Yeah, he
For
made
the
it work,
Vegas
but it was
section?
absolutely
Oh,
absurd.
I heard about it.
Yeah, there was the
no.
third story takes place. The movies in Prevertere. There's 3 stories that kind of make the whole sum up, and the last story essentially, sort of first and last story. I mean, it's whatever now.
It's a 3-act
It's a
structure.
3-act, well, ish. But the story that Jimmy's in, that takes place in Vegas. We were shooting at a house in Topanga that. We got this location through our production designer, and he had done some work in this house. It was a house that was like on display for people to come in who were, if they wanted to buy this house,
It's
it's a
always the
showroom
start of a good
house,
story.
So, we had been there for a couple of days shooting without any problem, and, sort of, I had all of my extras without shirts on, doing fake cocaine all over the house and stuff. So a realtor showed up with like a client, to show the house,
and we were all there.
and we're all there, kind of running around. And it turns out that the actor and also the producer Brett Roberts, he played Bobby Dino. He knew the client that they were showing the house to.
course
So
he
it,
did.
it-
That's
it-
right.
It was an actress that they had worked together before, so it was like bought us time. But it basically the cops were coming, so we had to like shoot this one musical number where Bobby Dino is singing, and we basically did one take from every angle because we had to get it and get out. But we weren't done with this location yet. Luckily, we shot all the interiors, but we hadn't gone to the exteriors yet. So basically, somehow overnight, like we were able to like get Marvin Gaye's old pool house, which then looked like the house, and so it's seamless. You would never
It's
know.
totally seamless.
And it worked, but that was a big challenge.
Yeah,
That's definitely like a moment.
Yeah, but before we left the Topanga place, there was another really challenging moment that I was dealing with during one of the scenes. I crapped myself, and so I had to like literally finish the scene before I changed my underwear. So
Now,
that's
this story I didn't hear.
no, nobody's heard that one. I know a couple of people have, but
Me
that
either.
was
When
that
was this?
More good
That was
stories.
while we were at the Topanga house or whatnot, shooting one of the scenes, and I was like,
What
well,
made
we
you
gotta
shit
make time.
yourself?
So, I don't know. It just just happened. It was like one of those like accidental moments.
You know, it's
Ooh,
a shark. It's
what
when
if
you-
I did
when-
this?
I just thought I was gonna fart. Yeah, I
Exactly,
didn't
it's a
know,
shark. It's when you fart
No,
and
come
shit
on,
comes
guys.
out.
He clearly planned it.
I mean,
He's like,
when you fart and
what if I'm
comes out.
directing
You know,
my own movie?
I actually planned it so that when I got on Popcorn Talk, I could talk about it. So here we are.
This is a Popcorn Talk exclusive, guys.
That's right.
Smelled like popcorn.
Well, forget the rest of my questions. I just want to hear more stories.
More
about
poop yourself stories. Who doesn't have a good poop yourself story?
I just felt like it was, necessary
Well, now that you
story to tell.
mention it.
We can move on. It's fine. I just thought it was a good story, you guys. Jesus.
Fine, it's totally fine.
How about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite story from production?
Well, now that's my favorite story ever.
That's just that took
of
my
all
favorite
time,
story. That just
of all
took it.
time.
It's my favorite story, too.
Kind of looking at the film again, what is the main thing you want audiences to take away from the film when they sit down to watch it?
What a question. What do I want people to take away? There's all this talk. This talk usually comes up around this film and other films that I've made about your main characters being flawed or whatnot. But every human being is flawed. Like, that's sort of
What makes us human beings?
Yeah, I like the idea of people liking characters in movies that they might like in real life. Like that guy might be my friend or something like that.
I know that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, what a jerk! Did you see what he did? My best friend used to do that all the time.
I don't know.
There is something really comforting about watching a movie and liking a character.
Yeah,
and feeling good in their company.
Sure, yeah.
And more so if they're flawed, I think. Because it's a sort of forgiving, it's a sort of cleansing of like our own stuff in a way.
Yeah, I like movies that are very relatable on that level. Like you see people going through things that like are kind of like extraordinary, but such is life, and it's interesting to see how those situations get written, get edited, get shot, acted, all of it. It's fun, and then when it comes together, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no. I'm very excited for people to take a look at this one. So for me, I want to know I'm always curious when we bring people in for these interviews. I always want to know what got you guys interested in storytelling and performing.
That's a nice question.
Take it, you go.
Because usually a lot of people have like this Eureka moment where they knew instantly that was what they wanted to do.
Oh shit, she's expecting one of those stories. I don't have one of those. I was always into stories and characters and adventure, and I just really like people, really, and playing with people. So that's what got me into it. I think that moment when you grow up and you start watching, like you start kind of finding indie films, and you realise that the stuff that's actually written for you that you can actually relate to and feel less alone with, The first French film I ever saw was this one with Charlotte Gainsbourg. It's written about this 13-year-old girl. In fact, I guess this is my Eureka moment, actually. And I was like, oh wow, somebody wrote a film about like us, like me, It was a first for me. And then I went, I want to do that too. Yeah.
I got invited to sit in on an acting class in Austin, Texas with a couple of my friends, and it was the substitute teacher, and so he invited me to come up and do something, and I was scared out of my mind, but in the back of my heart really wanted to do it, and like got up on stage and did my little thing, and literally I was like shaking from head to toe, and it was like I had a really crazy like upbringing, a wild past, a wild childhood of lots of drama and this and that, and it was like one of those moments where it was like, holy shit, like everything that has ever happened in my life now makes sense. Like now I know how to like put it into something and like tell about it or like use it. So that was my Eureka moment, I would say.
I went with my friend to do this extra job, and at the end of it, we got a check. I pay you for this? I could do this, just sit around all day and then cash a check like 2 weeks later, like free food. And get sometimes dress you up.
The women.
Craft services,
Yeah.
man. That's where it's at.
No, it's kind of like, I guess it'd be a similar thing. I didn't know what it was. I had grown up watching movies, and I'd wanted to. I used to role play these characters in the playground like most children. And then I went to go see The King and I in dinner theater. I remember in junior high, and that's the first time I actually seriously thought about it. Like, yeah, that looks like a lot of fun. And in my junior high, they had given auditions for a play, and you would do this play at the end of the year. Everyone would, you'd go perform it. So I auditioned for the lead, and I got it. So I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do now? She's like, all I did was read louder than anybody else. And then I'm like, so I gotta have to work on this, I guess. So I started, memorizing all the material, and the materials about this guy who I can't believe I still remember this. It's called $1,000 and set in the early 1900s, and he just inherited $1,000, and all these people are trying to tell him what he should do with the money, but he's in love with this woman that he can never be with, and so he ends up giving the money to her. But his journey up to what he's going to do with that money and going over, was kind of like, even at a young age, the idea of love and to give something more of yourself so someone else has it, even if you don't get something in return, was kind of a really like fascinating kind of topic to be exploring at such a, like, is this what adulthood is? Is this what love is? It's like, I just found myself completely taken by it and drawn to it, and so it just stuck with me after that. After all these years, it's like, oh, you can tell stories, and this is why people relate to it, because there's something inherently inside me, even though I haven't lived this life or done this thing yet, that I feel for this guy, and I feel for this woman, and I feel for these other people that are not going to get the money.
All comes back to the money.
Like, I feel for these people, and I guess that would be the thing, is like we were all saying, is you identify. There's a piece of you that you see in themselves, or a piece in them that you see, vice versa, and that's kind of a magical thing, actually.
Yeah.
And then
We're a community spirited animal.
And then craft services is just the icing on the cake.
Craft services just.
I mean, I always,
I can't even make my own coffee anymore. I don't even know how. I mean,
to close off like what we were saying about it. Yeah, I don't know how to make my own coffee yet. That's why I go to 7-Eleven. It's a little cheaper. But to make, like, ultimately, I think movies, like this can be an amazing thing. I know I have a lot of friends, and they're not very emotional people, but you could sit next to them in some theater with 500 strangers, and you're no further than 18 inches away from the next person, and you can turn and look sometimes if you can manage to break away, and you'll see all those people, including your friends, bawling. They would never bawl outside of that movie theater, certainly not in a room with 500 strangers, if you really, really begin to think about it.
That's really
and
nice.
that's magic.
Yeah.
That's magic. And not just the crying, anything. When you take a large group of people, and they're all experiencing the same thing.
That the movie theater is the best place to cry in
Yes.
the
It really
world.
is.
In the world.
You're safe
Dark,
there.
no one's looking at you.
Yeah. I cried in
so much
Blue
in the
Crush.
movies.
I cried in that movie.
Oh
But
man, I cried in that movie.
Yeah, and if you are crying, you don't want anyone else to see. If they do see you, turn and look.
For
It's
different
okay, because
reasons.
they're crying too.
And
So
the
that's
tears
cool.
look
Yeah.
better under those lights than
You're
anywhere
like,
else.
sorry,
in
I'm crying. Oh, you're crying too. That's awesome. That's so
If
good.
it makes you guys feel better, I cry at like movies you probably shouldn't cry at. I actually cried in 13 going on 30, and that's embarrassing to admit, so I apologize.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised. I think
love
the
that.
first movie I ever bawled my eyes out, I was really young though. It was devastating. It was Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh
That's
man,
like
that's
not
a
a
tough
movie you want to
movie.
be watching at 5. It's like, Mom and Dad, you promise you'll never get a divorce. I'm
Sausage.
destroyed. I'm 5 years old and my life is over.
Were you doing Meryl Streep impressions?
So Meryl Streep movies, projecting, and check. Makes sense.
And craft services. Yes.
And craft services.
Yes.
Very important.
Apparently, I cried so inconsolably at Dumbo that like they had to turn it off.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, well, Baby Mine, that song still gets me teary-eyed. Well, I cried in, I remember the first time like crying in the theater was Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh, yeah.
Because they arrested Santa Claus.
Oh,
How is that not
jeez.
upsetting?
That is
Messed up.
upsetting. I'm sorry for your loss.
Presents for Christmas.
This is just the worst. Why? Kind of going off of that, are there any particular genres you guys like to play around with more than others, or are you guys just excited whenever you get to do something different?
Different is always good. I really like comedy a lot. I really love comedy. I do a lot of horror as a genre. Like that's where people seem to find stuff for me, and I seem to like, I don't know why, just good opportunities that I've had there. But yeah, comedy for me. I really like dark comedy.
So this was a perfect fit then.
Yeah, it was a really great fit. I mean, it was just a given that like Brian was going to do something cool, but the script was really fun and really like, how do I feel about that?
Emo, man.
So, yeah.
How about you guys? Favorite genres?
I just go back to Todd Solondz's Jim Jarmusch. Yeah, like I love that kind of stuff. That dark, realistic humor stuff's really great. But I just watched Ant-Man last night, and I loved the hell out of that. That was fun. It was super fun. I didn't expect to like it, but I really did. So I kind of go all over the place. I don't watch a lot of horror films though, because I'm scared. I'll watch them if these guys are in it. Or
I don't watch them either.
It freak me out. I don't like walking down my hallway after watching that stuff.
Scary movies are the best.
I don't like walking down my hallway anyway.
Yeah.
Someone else to do that.
Yes.
I used to live in an apartment complex where like the hallway looked like the hallway from The Shining. That was not fun to walk early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah.
Yes. My favorite genre is yes.
Movies.
And it's kind of like what we're all saying. I mean, I don't really have a particularly favorite. If I've been doing one, I definitely like to expand my horizons and do other things. Like I like to do comedy. I've done a few romance like dramas. Those were fun actually. It's like, you shouldn't always play the straight guy. I'm like, actually, it's the first time I've ever played the straight guy ever. But thank you for saying that. You think that that's all I do. I take that as a compliment.
You're like, I'm a natural. This is great.
There's things. It's all dependent, really. I think at the end of the day, like on the story, on the script. It's like I know when I was younger, certainly there was certain genres I wasn't interested in. But there's great movies in all the genres. So, but maybe more than I think I'm with Pollyanna also. I'm like I prefer I like to do a lot of comedy. I'd be on a serious movie and I'll crack jokes in between every take. It's like I just have that. Like I like to have. I enjoy being on set, so I like to have fun. So playing around and especially goofing off is it's more than just a pastime of mine.
Especially when it's a serious set. You gotta have a little bit of fun.
Oh, he's nonstop too when he's on set. And it's funny too, because he'll be like trying to bring me to attention to a joke or whatnot, and I'm like thinking of 30 other things, and I'm like, okay, Jimmy, that was funny. Let's go on. I'm like seeing it like as it's a dream. Like, okay, let's move on. But he will not stop. Like he shows up kind of like in character. He's calling everybody else by their. It's awesome, man. I love it. But it helps sort of like create and boost like that energy for the set. You know what I mean? Like he makes other people get involved. So I love that about it.
Now, given that you guys have been doing this for some time now, is there anything everything that you've learned over the past years of doing this that you would like to impart onto people who are maybe aspiring actors, aspiring writers, and aspiring directors?
No. They can all piss off, we're busy.
I'm going to have to say for the first time, no. Yes, no.
Figure it out.
Yeah, it's funny. I think if there's anything that I've learned, it would be that you really, really have to want it and believe it, and you have to ensure your own sanity in order that you remain in that frame of mind in order to continue in the business and have a good time. And then you've got to really not take yourself seriously. Like, work on that all the time, I think.
Yeah, a hero of mine said if you want to get work, just don't quit. And I think that's smart.
Yeah, I think that's probably the wisest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I know that the guy, one of the actors from Walking Dead, he played the older gentleman on that. He'd been acting for like 50 years. And then he got on Walking Dead and boom.
50 years.
We're just
50
waiting.
years. Yeah.
Just sitting here
I
waiting. I only have 25 years to go.
Score.
But, I have tremendous amount of respect for him, he's also, when you've been around for 50 years, pretty great actor.
Yeah. I think it's the same as every job. It's like work hard and be nice to people.
Yeah. I think kindness is the new punk rock. Yeah. I really do.
And be curious. Be a curious person. Otherwise your work's going to get flat.
Try new things. That's good.
Try new things. Did I just give that advice on the
don't watch
on the radio station?
Don't watch TV, kids.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Don't sell out.
Don't deny your perversity.
Yeah.
Perversity. Is that right? That's a word.
Perversity.
Perversity.
Perverseness.
Perversiveness. Perversity.
pervert's quest. Yeah.
Don't deny the pervasiveness of your
Prevertere.
perversiveness.
One more time? That's awesome.
Don't deny the pervasiveness of your perversiveness.
Yay.
You little perverts.
So, do you guys have any other upcoming projects that you would like people to know about? I know that sometimes you can't talk about things while they're in development, but if there's anything you would like our viewers to know, I'm sure
It's
they'd
plug
love to
time,
hear
guys.
about it.
It's
It's plug time.
So you guys start.
You
You might have heard this little movie named Star Wars. I am not in it, but I would like to be. 5 more. Hey, guys.
They're
Cheap.
They're still filming 2 more. They still got to make 2 more after this
Yeah.
one.
But
There's
they're
still
doing
hope,
these
there's
like
still time.
anthology films in between.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess they're 2 in. So there's 4 more to go, guys.
And if you like voiceover, there's a series called Star Wars Rebels that's on right now.
That's
Super
Oh,
good.
yeah.
So Polly and I are in a film that's actually
Yeah.
out right now called The Tales of Halloween.
It's just called Tales of Halloween, Jimmy, but you know.
Yeah, I meant the, in quotes, Tales of Halloween. That's what I meant.
Tales of Halloween.
I know what my...
Tales of Make it Googleable. Tales of Halloween, guys. Watch it. It's really good.
Yes, it is really good.
I'm a big horror fan, so that actually
Oh,
does
cool.
sound like I always get really depressed right after Halloween because I'm like, oh, it's over.
Oh.
So
We can make it continue forever. We can probably list off reams of horror movies we got coming out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't, like, this is going to get worse. I can't remember. I don't know what they're called. I think they'll...
Just Google Jimmy. It's
There-
doing
yeah,
everything.
there-
Find
there is another movie. There's a few movies coming up, but the one that I know of that I can talk about is I did a movie years ago called SLC Punk, and we're doing a sequel. We shot the sequel. It's called Punk's
Cool.
Dead, and that's coming out in early 2016. So in 3 or 4 months. So look for Punk's Dead.
awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
I've got a movie that just came out called Bloodlands. I'm like, is it the Bloodlands or Bloodlands? It's called White Settlers in the UK. It's Bloodlands over here. And another one called Let Us Pray, and they're both Scottishy kind of horror movies.
So good. I just saw it. So
Just
good.
watched Let Us Pray. It's so
I saw the poster for Let Us Pray, and it looks creepy.
It's pretty gory, I'm not gonna lie. I get to be a policewoman, so watch out. And
Hit me with that nightstick. Yeah.
Different movie.
I'm in the middle of directing my first thing that I've written that I'm playing the lead in, like some sort of weird person who's doing everything, but it's actually quite fun.
That's exciting.
And I'm writing something right now which I can't talk about, but I've co-written something called Reciprocal Beat, which is about to start shooting early next year. And Dan, I'm starting on a job tomorrow, which is a big secret and is making me very happy.
That's
So
pretty cool.
basically, keep an eye out for that, folks. Then.
Oh, and I've got a TV show which I want everyone to see in early March, called Happen Leonard, which is James Purefoy and Michael Kenneth Williams and
great
Christina
cast.
Hendricks and Jimmy Simpson and me and a few other guys who aren't as recognizable as those guys but are really good. Bill Sage is also in it,
He's
who I'm
awesome,
sure
too.
you've worked with, right? 'Cause-
I haven't worked with him, but
No.
yeah, he's awesome. He worked with a couple
He's-
of really good director friends of mine.
Yeah, he's great. So I'm
Yeah.
sharp now.
Oh god, these guys have so much good stuff happening in the mix. I love it. Let's see. I've got.
Ryan's writing everything and making everything all
I'm
at the same
writing some
time.
stuff. I'm trying to raise money for a bigger budget film for my next project. It all takes place on a train, so that's pretty fun, and I'm working towards that. And I'm selling skateboards right now under the Left House Skateboards is my skateboard brand, and that's been a lot of fun. And
Jimmy's on a skateboard?
Jimmy's on one of the skateboards. That's true. Jimmy's on one of the skateboards. Harry Dean Stanton's on one of them. John Hawkes and Mark Boone Jr. are all guys that have acted in some of the films that I've made. So that's the first line. And I don't know. I'm not acting in anything right now. I wish I was.
You're acting
Yeah.
in
It's
your
got a-
own beautiful story.
He's
Of
got
life.
a few more movies in post and a few movies that
Yeah.
are still getting in the
you
mix
just
that are coming
finished something,
out.
and you've just been in London at
Just
Rain
in
Dance
London
with your
for a
film, which
One
is
World,
great,
100 Lonely.
which is
And,
awesome.
Yeah, I've got another
Did I mention
mov-
it was good?
got another movie out there called Window Liquor that's like, rentable or whatever on the internet and stuff, and I'm really proud of that movie. It's a weird one, and it's like a love-hate sort of thing. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, and there's no in between, and I like it that way, so that's cool.
Good.
And
Oh, yes, you know what? I should probably plug. I forgot I just did something else that I should probably plug because I want them to bring me back because it's a possible recurring role. But
Awesome.
I guess I'll be on Hawaii Five-0 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yay.
So hopefully that goes well. Hire me, guys. I'm cheap.
Call me.
Call my agent.
Well, before we wrap up, do you guys have any other final thoughts on why people should go and check out Prevertere, or just kind of your overall thoughts on the movie?
It's sexy, it's funny, it's unusual, and it goes by in a flash because you are kind of going, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, if you want to solve your own relationship dramas, I say watch the movie. All the answers are there.
You want to know what your friends did on that wild Vegas weekend? Watch Prevertere.
Yeah, that's it. It's fun. Watch it. That's what I say.
Watch it.
Watch it, watch it, watch it, watch it.
From every
Yes.
camera angle
Yes.
possible.
Watch it.
Every
Watch
single
it.
one. There's one up there, too.
Watch it.
Yeah. Watch it.
Yep. So thank you guys so much for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
like come down to talk to us about the movie and about your guys' careers and projects. Where can people go online if they want to keep up with all of your projects? Do you guys have social media or websites, anything like that?
DrSkin.com has a lot of my movies on it.
Yes, Celebrity Skin.
Any safe for work websites?
Well, I don't get paid for that. They just take it.
It's so rude. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that crap. Pollyanna McIntosh, you'll find me.
LeftHouseFilms.com, LeftHouseSkateboards.com.
Yeah, I'm on Jimmy Duvall on Twitter, Instagram. I don't do Facebook.
I'm on
Sorry.
Facebook way too much. If you
It's
want
like
to
a
play some
full-time
speed chess,
job.
Yeah, I know it is. I play speed chess on Facebook a lot.
What game?
Chess, like speed chess.
Oh,
you know,
cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I don't do Facebook, so I have more time to do my piles of blow.
Too busy partying.
Yeah.
Too busy
Don't worry about
partying.
any of the social media nonsense.
Too busy making too busy partying t-shirts for himself to wear whilst he's too busy partying.
That's what I do. I'm good at it.
Love those shirts.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming in to talk to us. And thank you guys for tuning in. I've been your host, Megan Salinas. As I mentioned before, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I just got one of those doodads. At the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I am also on a bunch of shows at our sister network AfterBuzz, and I write articles for the Movie Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Popcorn Talk on iTunes, YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all that jazz. It'll be a good time, and you'll get to watch more interviews and stuff like this. It is gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you guys. And again, thank you. I can't thank you guys
so
enough.
much.
Like,
Cheers.
you guys
Cheers.
were
Cheers.
so much fun.
Cheers.
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 All right.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.